Okay, I'd like to officially call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. If you'd all be seated, I'd like to have a moment of silence for our recently departed residents and friends and neighbors, as well as for all those suffering in the Middle East. A moment of silence, please. Thank you.
This is a true working board of directors. They work as a team. They don't make rash decisions. They do research on everything before acting on it. They work closely with the Finance Committee to make sure of the budget. They respond to the homeowners' issues. Mike is an excellent president. Mary works with the Financial Committee and does a great job as liaison for the clubs. Ed knows every tree in this community. He works directly with the grounds as a liaison, and the Views are also lucky to have him as their liaison. I started on the Docs and Policies Committee when they were formed and was appointed to the board a couple of months later. I was their liaison until Carol joined the board. I was liaison to ARC, and they all take pride in their positions. Mike Weiner is a perfect chairperson and takes his job seriously. Bill Weiner. Weiner, what did I say? That's his brother, I know. Okay, so Phil, where are we here? Okay. My recent liaison position was the one I started. The Home Sales Committee is made up of 4 committee members and has done such a great startup from the day the home is listed to the day the new homeowner moves in. I hope the best for this board. As of today, I am resigning from the board to help my son and his 3 young children. Family is important to me and my husband.
Clapping. Keep
Oh, they
going.
can clap. They can't be any happier than me.
Okay, I'd like to take a minute to thank Barbara for volunteering her time and efforts to the community. In addition, the board will now be tasked with finding an interim board member that will serve until the next election, which is May of '24. So there will be 3 positions up for election come this May. It's me, Mary, and Barbara's position. So anyone interested, and the board will also be seeking out some individuals to take this interim position, and then if they choose to run in May, we are looking forward to volunteers. So I thank you for that. Roll call.
Michael Messina.
Here.
Barbara Wells.
Has resigned officially as of tonight.
Mary Adler.
Here.
Ed Whitman.
Here.
Carol Butterworth.
Here.
Okay. Official roll call has been performed. Okay. So the last 3 open board meetings, there were no motions for the expenditure of money, and I've been telling people we did a good job, 3 months. This month, there are 3 motions I'd like you to be made aware of. One of them I've been saying for the last 2 open board meetings, and that was something to do with the gym equipment. So, let me just first go. May I have a motion to accept the 3-year service contract from Stouts Shuttle Service, adjusted to 5 monthly trips at an annual cost of $30,600.
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, we will now explain this a little bit. Who's doing the explanation? Okay, so here's what happened. We had a contract with Stouts, who is the bus service, and they were giving us 8 trips a month. I'm sorry, 8
Yes.
trips a month 12 months of the year, 96, at a cost of approximately $25,000. The new contract that they gave us said if you would like to have 8 trips a month, it's now $45,000. 48? 48. Are you out of your mind? Okay, no, I didn't say that, really. So what we did as a board is we met with all those that use the bus service, and there's approximately 11 people, and we met 7 the first time, and I think it was 9 the second time, to fully understand their needs and to come to, I guess, a mutually agreeable situation. And what we did is we cut it down from 8 trips a month to 5, at a cost of $30,000. It's steep, there's a need, it is something that has been provided in the past, and the board will now vote on this motion. So, okay. All those in favor of the motion to accept the 3-year contract from Stout Shuttle Services at an annual cost of $30,600, board members, please state aye in agreement.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? No. The ayes have it. The motion is passed. Okay. Now, let's do it a second. Okay. We're renewing contracts at this time. A lot of contracts end at the end of the year. We're trying to get ahead of it. The second motion is to accept a 3-year landscaping contract from a new vendor, Meticulous Landscaping of Waretown, at an annual cost of $415,376 starting in 2024. The additional 2 years will be subject to only a 2% increase annually. Meticulous Landscaping will also assume the snow removal responsibility as of January 1st of this year. May I have a motion to accept this proposal?
I make a motion to accept the new contract from Meticulous Landscaping for $415,376. Turf Master?
Right, we need a second, 1 second.
Okay.
We have a second for the motion.
I second it.
Okay, Mary, the floor is yours.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. We're also going to do the snow. Turf Master knows at the end of the year that their contract is over, and this is a significant saving for us. Thank you for doing all your hard work for finding us a new landscape.
The savings was over $60,000 a year. Okay? Okay, so we have one more motion. And the motion, and this is the one I spoke about at the last 2 open board meetings. Motion to accept the purchase of 3 treadmills and 1 upright bike for the gym. And I had estimated the cost before to be $20,000 or $21,000. This motion is for $18,000, less than we thought, $224.70. So I need a motion to accept this proposal. I'll do the first. Who's seconding?
All right, I'll second.
Thank you. Okay. Just a brief explanation. I know I've done this twice before, the 2 prior months. We had 4 treadmills.
Excuse me, Mike, I thought the president doesn't make a motion, somebody else.
Okay. Someone else make a motion. Fine. Okay. Okay. No one was standing up. Okay. We're at formality this is true. A president does not make a motion. I will do the explanation. Can someone please make a motion for the $18,204.76 for the purchase of gym equipment?
I make a motion to accept it.
Well, do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
Thank you. So I've been mentioning this at the prior meetings. Originally, we had 4 treadmills all bought at the same time. 1 treadmill died a year and a half ago. 2 of them are dying now. The upright bike has been in existence for 18 years. We've had a lot of trouble with it. Therefore, the gym committee that was formed has picked out equipment, they went to 3 different vendors as was prescribed, and the gym committee made the selection of the treadmills and the bike, the actual people that use it, not the board. So that is the explanation, and we will now go to a vote. All those in favor of approving the motion for the expenditure of $18,224.70 on the board, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is now passed. That's it for motions. Okay.
Excuse me, Mike, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The previous motion, was there a vote taken on that?
A vote taken on what?
The previous motion,
Ridiculous.
motion number 2.
It was a renewal of a contract, and a vote is not necessary for renewal of contract.
Thank you.
Okay? Okay.
It's not a renewal, it's a new
No, it's a new contract, it's a renewal of service. That's what it is. Had we extended Turf Master, there would have been no vote either. Right? So, in terms of Robert's rules, it is appropriate. Okay, now we will go on to the President's report. And there are several things and several projects in the works. Okay. There is a National Association for HOAs known as CAI, which stands for Community Associate Institute. There are several members of our Finance Committee as well as Lake Ridge Board members that attended an annual meeting where information is shared on what's on the horizon. This is why the last open board meeting was moved from Thursday, October 19th to Wednesday, October 17th. There was an extremely large amount of time at this convention, which had people from all of New Jersey, in regard to insurance. So I'd like to share some of that information to you. Across the country, expenses increases have occurred in 91% of HOAs across the country. Increase in expense. That's not a surprise. I mean, what's cheaper these days? Of this 91% of homeowners associations, 72% experience increases in landscaping costs. In addition, 96% of all the HOAs had increases in insurance costs, and 55% had increases between 11 and 25%. So clearly insurance matters and increases in money is a focus. And here's the bad news. There is present legislature before the state that deals with amendments to the fire code. For those interested, a new section 305-6, landscaping materials, states the following. I've got to find it, sorry. It's right here. Proposed amendment to the fire code. New section 305.6, landscaping material shall be inserted as follows. The use of combustible landscaping materials such as wood-based mulch product is prohibited in any of the following conditions. Within 18 inches of any building or structure. What? That's what I said when I read that. Within 18 inches of a deck, porch, or balcony, or any other portion of the building constructed of combustible material. or within 18 inches of any designated smoking area defined in section 310-2. Exceptions, live plant materials such as shrubs, flowers, and trees, provided that they are not located within 18 inches of the building or structure. Think of your flower garden for a second. Okay. Non-combustible buildings or structure interiors that have no combustible components or trim with less than 3 feet clearance from the grade. What does this mean? This means the proposed legislature may force us, you, me, the clubhouse, the annex, everything, to move mulch away from our homes and substitute it with a non-flammable material. Okay. Actually, rubber mulch supposedly is non-combustible. So if you want to buy it, but I'm going to tell you, rubber mulch costs 6 times the amount that regular mulch does. And I won't tell you what stone it was. Now, let me explain this a little bit, and I'll go back to my notes. It is still unclear as to whether this legislature will be passed as written, but in the worst case scenario, both Lake Bridge buildings, such as the clubhouse and annex, and each individual home could be affected. As of this week, the latest update from our attorney is it looks like the bill will pass as stated. As a board, we were hoping to wait this out until at least the end of the month or whenever the legislature passes. In the meantime, before going public, the board has attempted to set the wheels in motion by getting river rock stones added through an ARC amendment before it becomes a moot point. The state law supersedes anything the HOA has to say. Wow. So in other words, I don't know, we could be in trouble, and we need to prepare. So I hope this clarifies the question raised on the October OBM meeting as to about whether stones are in the bylaws and now whether this should have been voted on. In conclusion to this rock issue, the board is attempting to have a solution to this more than likely problem, which will affect everyone in Lake Ridge. This is what a board should be doing. 2 more things about stones. More than likely, every homeowner's insurance can be impacted as well. People have, HOAs have lost their insurance when being non-compliant. Think about your homeowners association. We do not know the extent of what is going to happen with this legislature, but we need to at least be aware of it. On that note, the board will not be finishing off the cladding project with mulch until we know the final outcome of the proposed legislature. Things are constantly changing. Another interesting tidbit, and this one, everyone is going to moan, but it is true. Another interesting tidbit that was uncovered is that it is now against state law for an HOA to restrict who can run for a board position. Get ready. So Lake Ridge's position that a resident has to be living here 3 years has gone away. For that matter, it gets better. For that matter, by state law, you don't even have to be living in the HOA. As long as your name is on the deed and you are a member in good standing in terms of paying your HOA fees, you can run.
Wow.
This is law. Okay, moving right along with all this good news. Now we'll just go frying pan to the fire. The fence. On September 6th, our request for approval of our fence project was unanimously approved by the Toms River Zoning Board. We then entered a legal 45-day holding pattern to ensure that any opposition to our plan is given an opportunity to voice their concerns. That opposition would have meant that someone would have to register with the New Jersey State, I can put that in here, let me talk in my own words so I can say it. The Supreme Court of New Jersey would have had to been notified legally if there was opposition. That 45-day period expired on November 12th, which happened to be a Sunday, so it was extended to the 13th, and we were in communication with our attorney on the 14th. We have been advised by counsel that we are able to proceed. To date, the HO has incurred or paid over $39,000 towards this project already. The original cost of this fence project was declared and approved at some $91,300. The bad news is that due to the delay in getting the project approved, fence material costs have gone up and unexpected township costs, get ready, have made the overall project go over budget. The original cost from the township was estimated, we asked them, to be around $6,000. That cost is now $14,000 from the township. An overrun of $8,000 which we are trying to contest. Material costs have also added $2,000 to $3,000. The board, along with our finance committee, have taken the position that the project will continue even with the overrun. At this point, the approved amount of the project is at least $10,000 over budget, could be $12,000. I'm going to tell you it changes every day from anyone you talk to, whether it's the township, the lawyer, or the architect. So, that's the good news there. It gets better. There's more. The cladding project. As you know, the cladding project is underway. Removal of the cladding, the water barrier, and the sheathing, which is the plywood, has been accomplished in most areas to reveal what we feared. There are many areas of extensive water infiltration that have been found. I'd ask you to turn around and look at the pictures that Alyssa has up on that board over there. That's, now, we could show you 20 pictures, but this is the flavor of it. What you're looking at there is, by the way, these walls and the annex walls are made out of 2x6s, not like your house or in my house, 2x4s. That's 4 2x6s, that's a main bearing structure that is rotted out on the bottom and the sill plate. You got another picture, Alyssa? Flip it, let's see. There are areas where the sheathing was just gone. Gone. Another one? These are successive 2x6s and sill plates. Got any more, Alyssa? What do we got? That's a corner. The corner of like where this comes to that and gone. Is there any more? That's it. Okay. So, understanding that we're doing this project for a reason, I'm kind of glad we did it. Now, there's a picture there that I took, I don't know, yesterday or the day before, in the annex when they started ripping off the plywood. There were 6 2x6s holding up the ceiling. Half of them are eaten away. And the sill plate. Okay, I'm the bearer of good news. I'm sorry. The cladding, all right, removal of the cladding wall. There are many areas of, Alyssa put up pictures. It is more than apparent that many of the original windows were not put in properly or flashed properly in both buildings, along with cladding that was put in improper. Although we put in a certain amount of contingency money, I fear that that's going to be blown away. So this project, which was approved for a certain amount of money, which was $178,000, I can't tell you how much it's going to cost. I could make up a number and I could be dead wrong, but I'm going to tell you it's over $200,000, maybe over $220,000. We have structural issues in the buildings. So there's only some good news. And that is, although there appears to be some extensive termite damage in some areas like that, there were absolutely no signs of actual termite infestation at this time. Okay. I think I'm done with my report. Thank you all. Given the latest course of events, there will be no vice president's report right now, but I will make this statement. It's been mentioned in 2 successive meetings. This will be the 3rd. Come next spring, there will be a new ARC campaign for keeping the outside of all our residents' homes clean, mailboxes clean, and no weeds. All right? So we're giving everyone 6 months' notice. It's time to spruce up the outside of the house. This will, listen, it impacts all of us if the place looks unsightly. And more important, we cannot selectively pick on one house and not another. The way it's worked right now is someone puts in a concern sheet and we respond. That's not fair. It's everyone has to abide. You know, someone doesn't like their neighbor and they put something in, that's not right, okay? So come next spring, across the board, the same way we did the colors of the garages, we're doing this. Get ready. Okay, so we'll now go to the treasurer's report, Mary. She has good news.
After all this good news, I'm going to stay seated. Okay. For the 10 months ending October 31st, 2023, our net income of $144,781 was $122,184 better than the budget. The principal factor, okay, our income, a surplus carryover from 2022 for $45,000 that we've still been able to carry over in our budget helps. Interest income was $8,000 better than the budget due to improved interest rates. And for that, I have to thank Marty and Bill because they're always on top of moving stuff and getting it to the best amount of money we can get for our money. Closing contributions on home resales was $25,200 better than the budget. The resales were 42 homes, but 60 were actually resold. Okay, expenses. Our budget was $1,977,000. You okay?
I'm fine. I just haven't whispered in someone's ear.
That scared me. The major categories under budget were snow removal. We were $45,000 favorable to the budget because, no snow. While there are over and under budgets, we spent some money on the pool, getting some things fixed before we had to close the pool. Those budgets were a little higher, but other things were lower, so it evened out. We still made an extra $45,000. Due to the fact we've talked about just now is the overruns on some of the projects we're doing. I know we brought this up at the last meeting, but I want to reiterate so we know that the board has made a decision that we will not be paving the upper part of the development next year. We're going to hold that off so we can recoup some of our outlay. And if you go, you'll see. I mean, I live on Vicaria, a lot of us do. The roads are fine up there. Holding it off another year is not going to hurt. But I promise we will do it. We're not going to keep kicking it down the road so that somebody up ahead of us gets... Okay, on Wednesday the 29th at 10:30 in the morning, we will present the new budget for next year. So please mark your calendars and make sure you're here. Our balance sheet. On September 30th, our investments were approximately $3.4 million, most of which is in our replacement fund, which has a balance of approximately $2.469 million. I love these numbers. The funds held in replacement funds are invested in CDs insured by the FDIC, which I tell you all the time, and usually in U.S. Treasury notes, money market funds, and some funds are held in cash for immediate disbursement. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mary. We will now move on to the Secretary's report. Ed?
Good evening. There'll be no report on grounds activities. It's heading into mid-November, and the grounds committee is pretty much done with its work. But we'll continue in the spring with the tree project to make sure that we keep abreast of the needs of trimming the common trees. As liaison to the views, I do have some very good news, and that is that thanks to, we wish to extend our thanks to Jack Cromer and Sharon Janowich for all the work they have done over the years to make the views the wonderful organ that it is. And congratulations and thanks. And great thanks to Jack and Sharon for the work they have done. The committee that was kind of self-elected to look over the possibility of replacing Jack has happily come to a good conclusion. The committee consisted of course, Jack and Sharon, Marilyn Lamb, Carol Butterworth, Fran and Pat McCormick, Fran and Pat McMahon. Fran McMahon was a prior editor and had a number of contributions to make to our discussion. Arlene Whitman, and Myrna Rodriguez. Well, as a result of our deliberations and much discussion about the work of the views, we have chosen Myrna Rodriguez to be Jack Cromer's. Now, happily, Myrna comes to this position. Myrna comes to this position at the Views with a considerable resume with experience in both publishing and editorial work. So we look forward to Myrna, and we look forward to the help that Jack and Sharon and that we all are going to be lending to Myrna as she begins her new editorial responsibilities. So we want to thank the members of the committee, and particularly Myrna. And again, thanks to Jack for a wonderful tenure as editor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ed. We will now go to Carol Butterworth for her report.
Thank you. Regarding safety, garage doors should not be left open all day. Animals enter, a rabbit, a fox, a squirrel. One year on Brenton Lane in section 6, back when I chaired grounds, a couple had a groundhog in their garage. It had come up from one of the 9 retention basins, and their garage door was open. We had quite a time to get it out of their garage. Also, over on Woodbine, a woman left her car in the driveway, opened her garage, and went into the house a while. She came out later, saw a man asleep in her garage, ran back in, locked the door, and called the police. He had wandered in from the Massachusetts gate. He was mentally challenged. So do close your garage doors more often. I'm board liaison to the bereavement support group, which will finish its session the end of this month. And they tell me that they truly benefited from the weekly discussions. So perhaps a new group will start in the spring. Many thanks to its leader, President Tony Swick. Okay, as board liaison to the Documents and Policies Ad Hoc Committee, I'm aware that the committee has been meeting for over a year to update our original bylaws and rules and regulations, and often has been working with the lawyer. The members have been doing a great job. The board now has declared it an official committee, so it will be an ongoing effort for future generations. I'd like to call upon Steve Agresta, who has put a lot of time and effort into the project, to tell you a little about it. Steve?
Thank you, Carol. Before I start, I just want to say some of the things I'm going to cover, Mike's already addressed in his discussion.
I'm sorry, I was too short. You gotta make.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better, that's better.
So some of the things I want to go through, Mike's already covered in his good news report. So if you hear some repeats, it's only because what he said was important about the policies and state laws and regulations. So basically, we formed a committee, as Carol said, about 20 months ago, April of 2022. And the reason was the documents that govern our homeowners association were created when the community was first formed in 1997, I believe, and they hadn't been reviewed or updated since the mid-2000s. So at the request of Mike and the board, an ad hoc committee was formed to go through all the documents. The members of the initial team were Ray and Alyssa from the management team, or management company, myself, Bill Cohen, Rick Caruana, Marilyn Marston, and Rita Moretti from the community, and our liaison is now Carol from the board. So a little bit of background on why we have documents. When you purchase a home in Lake Ridge, you enter into a contract and agree to become part of the Lake Ridge Homeowners Association within the community. Again, Mike asked us to do a review of all the current policies, rules, regulations, including the restrictive and protective covenants document and the bylaws. So I'm going to give a little bit of explanation briefly about what those documents are and what the purposes are. So above that, as Mike stated earlier, federal, state, local laws are what we have to comply with. We cannot have any documentation in Lake Ridge that doesn't comply with federal, state, or local laws. And you know, over the last 15 years, a lot has changed, right? So we have to make sure everything that we have in our documents complies with the new laws, which is part of our review.
Can't hear you.
Okay, I'll get closer. You got the part about the federal laws and the state laws? Good. So the top document in our hierarchy of documents is the Declaration of Restrictive and Protective Covenants. This is a legal contract that binds the homeowners to the association and the association to each of the homeowners. The document mainly defines the units and common areas in Lake Ridge. It defines the maintenance obligations of the homeowner. So things like you talked about, getting the cleaning of the mailboxes and things like that, and the weeds and things like that. It also defines how the land can and cannot be used. So that document is really a document that was prepared by the builder, I believe, or Coates, and it set the rules about how Lake Ridge is going to operate. Under that are the bylaws. A long ring. Under that's the bylaws of the Lake Ridge HOA. The bylaws are operational guidelines, so they deal with organizational and administrative aspects of the community, such as the formation of the board, elections, meetings, the composition of the board. It basically governs how the HOA will be running. So again, not so much the legal document for the community, how we manage the community. And then under that are the policies, rules, resolutions, and regulations. Those documents provide a detailed explanation of what is and isn't permitted in the community. These types of provisions are typically prepared by various committees and are adopted by the board. So for example, you have an ARC committee, a grounds committee.
We still can't hear you because you're not by the mic. Take the mic
I'll
out.
take it out.
Take it out.
So the fourth one was the policy, rules, and resolutions. Those are the documents that provide detailed explanations of what is and isn't permitted in the community. These provisions are typically prepared by the various committees and adopted by the board. So as I was saying, there's an art committee, there's a grounds committee. Those teams look at the bylaws and they develop the rules and regulations around how things should be implemented. So I guess lighting is an example, and landscaping and trees and all the different aspects of maintaining community. So what did we do? We did a long and detailed read-through of all the legal documents over the last year and a half. The first set of reviews is complete, and we sent them to the association lawyer last December. So it took a long time to get a response back from him. We basically went through each section, page by page. We broke up the document into the smaller blocks and made our comments, and he read through it and sent back his first review and his comments. So based on those reviews and his feedback, the next step for our committee is to identify areas that need to be revised and to which document they belong. So there's areas in all the documents that will have to be looked at and possibly or most likely be revised for a number of reasons. One, either they're not in compliance with the law, or things have changed in the community that we need to address and want to update. It's important that we do that because there are a couple different ways of getting these things approved, whether it be through a vote, majority vote. There's different there's different levels, right, of approvals needed for different updates or changes. So we need to make sure we understand exactly what needs to go up to the community for a vote and how we're going to proceed once we decide what needs to be changed. And there'll be some socialization of that in the future. The lawyer has a key role, and he needs to make sure we're following our current bylaws and covenants and also the current statutory laws. So, as Mike said, if there's any conflict between the board and or committee policies, rules, and regulations, and the restrictive and protective covenants document, the latter two take precedent. In other words, no board decision or committee approval can be had if it's specifically prohibited in our documents. We can't approve something that's not allowed in the documents, basically, is what that says. So, as of last week, the Standing Governance Committee has been formed by the board to make sure the existing documents are consistent among themselves and to make sure any new proposals or changes are consistent with the association documents described earlier. So, when changes are proposed, this committee will look at the changes, review the documents to make sure we're following the process to get any changes implemented. And that's it, thank you. I hope that helps helpful and explain a little bit about the process.
I want to thank Steve and the committee that was put together. Recently, there's been a lot of discussion about what's in this, what's in that, what can you do, what can't you do. And I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna. It may be that some of the resolutions, recent resolutions that have been passed, should have gone to a vote and did not, according to the rules. So now is the time to open up the can and set everything proper. And this committee is the beginning, and it will be an ongoing committee because we want to do everything the right way. And they will continue on a go-forward basis. So anything Off wants to do, anything Grounds wants to do, they're gonna make sure it's okay. All right? So this is definitely something that kind of fell through the cracks for years, but it's gonna be addressed now. And thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move to the manager's report, Ray?
First, I'd like to thank Steve for the accolades, but just to mention that this committee was working in depth long before I got on site here. With the work that they put in, Steve, Rick, Bill, Alyssa, the rest of the committee, has been extensive, painstaking, and it's been a headache as of late. And these guys are doing a great job, and it's going to be a long process, but they have the best interest in heart. So I want to thank them for their work as well. We were talking about some of the motions to accept, and as we mentioned, or I mentioned in previous meetings, we were going through the process of collecting service proposals, other contractors for the service we were looking for 2024. We were lucky in some aspects. As Mike mentioned with Stouts, they kind of hit us, blindsided us with that price. And just a little background history, you had King's Transport here, they went out of business. Stouts really was the only shuttle service around. We had Ocean Ride. There were some some of the communities out there have their own shuttles. And a meeting with the residents, Ocean Ride really didn't pass muster as far as what they can offer the people as far as the schedules. We were looking into different ways to compensate the residents who would have to take it, because some of these, whether we took Ubers from now on or went with Ocean Ride, they had to be prepaid. So there was talk about, do we set up an account, a community account, individual accounts? So there was a lot of work going on in that. There was even the only company we could find outside of Uber or Brick Taxi was Go-Go Grandma out of San Francisco. And they're nationwide, they have corporate accounts, but they're not that well established in New Jersey. In working with Stouts, and I was very surprised that they did lean and work with us towards the end, is that they gave us a 3-year contract or agreement, and all those are annual raises. That does give us time to look around for other entities, other shuttles, anything else out there that could maybe take the pinch off of that. With the landscaping and meticulous landscaping, this community has been using Turf Masters for a long time. 10 years ago, I was managing down the street at the Enclave. Turf Masters was there. They were a staple with Cokes when they were building. And they were pretty well settled in here. When we went out to look and the board had asked, let's see who else is out there, we brought in 5 companies that were vetted by CAI that had a long-standing history in the area that could handle a community this size without any problems. And we brought in 5 companies, I'm sorry. Some of them have been here before and did compete against Turf Masters. Meticulous out of Waretown has been around for 20 years. I've had them at other sites. They've been pretty much just stapled in Southern Ocean County. When they put in their bid, we kind of did a double take because, as we said, there was a significant savings there. And in fact, they were lower than the contracted cost for the 2023 budget, which offered a lot of savings coming into the 2024 budget. Again, I talked to Turf Masters. We let each company know. Once they didn't get the approval of the board, we left on good terms with Turf Masters. They will be here till December 31st. And again, if anything does happen that we need to recall them back, they're more than willing to come back. There were no hard feelings there. But then again, when you're coming in with a new, and especially a landscaper, you have to at least give them a multi-year contract. They have to learn the community, they have to learn the area, they have to learn the different needs that this community does. And in interviewing with the board, Bob Kraft, the president of Meticulous, brought up some new processes and treatments that haven't been brought up before. Some things that he noticed on 2 tours through the community. So it was a very positive attitude interview, and the board unanimously voted them in, and we're hoping for success with them. They will also take over the snow removal as of January 1st. They do have a local crew in this area that'll be assigned to Lake Ridge exclusively, and they are planning on a 4-day 4 days a week being here to handle the landscaping. So we'll see how that goes, but that deserved a little background history. But we've gone through some, all the other service proposals that we've had over the years. We went back to the existing contractors to see if they could offer anything better. We looked to condense some services to save money. We were again blindsided by another one of our service contractors, Great Blue, who handled the fountains in the pond. They're out of North Jersey, and just about a month ago, they called us up and said, look, we losing money down here, we're gonna stay up in Sussex and concentrate in our home area, which kind of left us scrambling because we gotta pull the fountains out of the ponds and winterize it and get everything stored. We had 2 companies within the last 2 weeks come in. We had one positive company that, even though Great Blue came in the other day and took the fountains out of the ponds before we freeze and they damage, this other company can come in next week, winterize them, store them, and pretty much it's not that much of an increase over what Great Blue had. Again, a 2-year contract, and that handles the pond treatments as well as the fountains. So it's been a long process. We're still going through it. The board did approve a lot of the service proposals we received. A lot of the existing contractors will be coming back. Hopefully, with better service, we'll be keeping a better eye on them. You saw the pictures of the cladding. We have been taking pictures of the damage, sending them to the insurance company, to the attorney, and there's not much that we can do on that. All this went through your transition over 20 years ago with the builder. There's no way that they could be held liable for it. But we're trying to keep them involved. If there's anything to come in, with some sort of assistance, God help us, maybe a grant here and there to help out. They're gonna keep looking at us as long as we keep them informed. I was told by the engineer today that they finally finished removing all the cladding around both buildings. They're gonna have a discussion with the board. We've been having construction meetings with them to give us the lowdown on what the damage is, what we're looking at. And the whole thing is we were trying to save money with the renovations. We're gonna have to see how that goes. There was mention by a resident who came to me and they said he thought he saw termite damage on one of the pilings out there. We did go out and look. It's long dormant. You've had Ozane out here to do the termite treatment with the traps and stakes. That worked pretty well, but we're working with the exterminator. Once the new cladding goes up, the new siding, we will treat the exterior of the building while these termites are dormant over the winter. And that should take care of everything. Again, there's no active damage in the building for some years. We are still, even though it's winding down in the year, we're still planning projects. A lot of it has to do with the athletic facilities, with the shuffleboard courts, the railings for the bocce courts, some repairs out there. We're looking at a project we went out to bid for and we'll probably do over the winter. It'll be a reserve project for drainage by the tennis courts. So we're still planning, we're still looking. We hope to have an abbreviated maintenance schedule for next year, as we said, to recoup some money, but to keep things in good shape. Once we finish with outdoor, we'll be bringing in the AED equipment as the weather gets colder, so that doesn't get damaged. And pretty much, that's my report.
So as you can see, there's nothing going on. My head, I tell my wife, my head is exploding, and it's no lie. Okay, may I have a motion to complete the business portion of the meeting?
So moved.
One. I have a second. All those in favor of closing the business portion of the meeting from the board state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is passed. The business portion of the meeting is now over.